Morning, Tom.
Well, Watson, what do you make of it?
How did you know what I was doing? You must have eyes in the back of your head.
I have at least a highly polished coffee pot in front of me.
James Mortimer, MRCS, from his friends at CCH 1884.
Since we were out when the owner of that stick called last night, and since we have no notion of his errand, this accidental souvenir becomes of importance. You've examined it. Let me hear you reconstruct the man.
Dr. Mortimer is a successful elderly medical man, well esteemed since those who know him gave him this mark of their appreciation.
Good. Excellent.
He is a country practitioner.
Oh.
The Ferrol is so worn down, he must do a great deal of his visiting on foot.
Perfectly sound.
Then there is this Friends of the CCH. H, I should guess, stands for Hunt, the local hunt, to which he has rendered frequent surgical assistance, and which has made him this presentation in return.
Really, Watson, you excel yourself. Some people without genius have a remarkable power for stimulating it. I confess, my dear fellow, I'm deeply in your debt.
Has anything escaped me? I trust I've overlooked nothing of consequence.
I'm afraid, my dear Watson, that most of your conclusions were erroneous. Not that you're entirely wrong. The man is certainly a country practitioner, and he walks a good deal.
Oh, then I was right.
To that extent. But I suggest that a presentation to a doctor is more likely to come from a hospital than a hunt, and that when one notes the CC before the H, Charing Cross Hospital very naturally comes to mind.
You may be right. What further inferences may we draw?
You know my methods. Apply them.
Well, he obviously practiced in town before going to the country.
And received this presentation on leaving. He couldn't have been on the staff of the hospital, since a man so well established wouldn't drift into the country. He could only have been a junior. And he left 5 years ago. The date's on the stick. So, in place of your grave middle-aged practitioner, my dear Watson, there emerges a young fellow under 30, unambitious, absent-minded, and the possessor of a favorite dog.
Mortimer James, MRCS, Grimpen, Dartmoor, Devon, House Surgeon 8284, Charing Cross Hospital. And the dog?
Has been in the habit of carrying the stick behind its master. The dog's jaw, as seen in the space between the tooth marks, is too broad, in my opinion, for a terrier, and not broad enough for a mastiff. It may be... Yes, it is. A curly-haired spaniel.
Oh, my dear fellow. How can you possibly be so sure?
Well, for the simple reason that I see the dog itself upon our doorstep. And there is the ring of its owner. Now is the dramatic moment of fate, Watson, when you hear a step on the stair, walking into your life you know not whether for good or ill. What does Dr. James Mortimer, the man of science, ask of Sherlock Holmes, the specialist in crime? Come in.
I'm so very glad. I thought I might have left it at the shipping office. I would not lose this stick for the world.
A presentation I see from Charing Cross Hospital.
When I married, I left and set up in the country. But how
No
did you...
matter. Dr. James Mortimer.
A humble MRCS, sir. I presume I am addressing Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
And this is my friend, Dr. Watson.
Glad to meet you, sir. Mr. Holmes, you interest me very much. I'd hardly expected so dolichocephalic a skull or such well-marked supraorbital development. Would you have any objection to my running my finger along your parietal fissure? Ah, thank you.
You are an enthusiast in your line of thought, I perceive, sir, as I am in mine, but I presume you have not called upon me twice for the purpose of examining my skull.
No, sir. Recognizing as I do that you are the second highest expert in Europe.
Oh. May I inquire, sir, who has the honor to be the first?
Why, sir, to the man of scientific mind, Monsieur Bertillon, the discoverer of the fingerprint.
Then had you better not consult him.
As a practical man of affairs, it is acknowledged that you stand alone. I trust, sir, that I have not inadvertently...
Just a little. And now, Dr. Mortimer, I think you'd better tell me why you're here.
I have in my pocket a manuscript.
I observed it as you entered the room.
It is a very old manuscript.
18th century, unless it's a forgery.
How can you know that, sir?
You must read my little monograph upon the dating of manuscripts. I put it at 1730, or a little later.
1742, sir. It was committed to my care by Sir Charles Baskervilles, whose sudden and tragic death 3 months ago created so much excitement in Devonshire. I was his personal friend as well as his medical attendant. He was a strong-minded man, both shrewd and practical. Yet he took this astonishing document very seriously.
Astonishing?
It appears to be a statement of some kind.
It is a statement of a legend which runs in the Baskerville family. A legend intimately connected with the affair on which I wish to consult you. With your permission, I will recount it to you. The legend concerns one Sir Hugo Baskerville, who held the manor in the 17th century. He was a wild, profane and godless man, a byword for evil in the West. One night, he kidnapped an innocent country girl and took her to Baskerville Hall for his foul passions. The girl escaped. Sir Hugo pursued her. It is said that he cried aloud, "I swear before all this company that I will this very night render my body and soul to the powers of evil if I may but overtake the wench." And so he did, gentlemen. The shepherd, crazed with fear, saw him ride past. But worse, there ran, mute behind him, such a hound of hell as man had never seen. Sir Hugo found his victim, but she had escaped him forever. She was dead of exhaustion and fear. Meanwhile, two of Sir Hugo's drunken cronies had ridden after him. It was not the sight of the unhappy maid, nor yet was it Sir Hugo Baskerville that raised the hair on their heads, but the foul thing, great black beast, shaped like a hound, yet larger than any hound that human eye had ever seen, claiming the devil's bond with its teeth in the man's throat. It is recorded that one of those two men died that very night of what he had seen.
Well?
Do you not find the legend interesting?
To a collector of fairy tales, perhaps.
Nevertheless, since then, many of the Baskerville family have died. Sudden, bloody, and mysterious deaths. And, Mr. Holmes, my friend Sir Charles believed in that legend. He was prepared in his mind for just such an end as eventually overtook him.
Good Lord. What happened?